Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Schooling Around. I'm Danielle Smith.
And I'm Alexis Ware. A few weeks ago, we visited with Oxford Crossroads Day School and spoke with Ms. Karen Gully, Communications Relations Coordinator. This week, we're taking you back to speak with Guy Cocasetta, Crossroads Principal, to talk curriculum and graduation process. Although Thanksgiving is long in our rear view, we spoke with Cheryl Verbecki about her charitable work all year long, not just on the holidays.
And we also traveled over to the middle school to speak with Michelle Gibson and her newspaper class after their big conference in Lansing. So don't go anywhere, Schooling Around starts right now. You first saw how Crossroads operates as a whole. Now let's dive in and see how the school functions with Guy Cocasetta at the helm.
So, Mr. Cocasetta, can you tell me what the curriculum looks like for the students?
We're a K12 facility. Currently, we make our schedule due to the number of kids we have, what grades they're in. We currently have a lower middle school program consisting of 5th, 6th, and 7th grader. Basically, we're working on remediation of English language arts, mathematics, geography, science, and we also have a computer applications class and a PE. Our 8th grade program, we're getting the students ready for transition to secondary curriculum. So our 8th grade program has ELA, science, the basics of the building blocks of U.S. history, along with mathematics, mostly pre-algebra concepts. We also have a PE and a health class with the computer applications as well.
Great.
And then we have our secondary, which is fully aligned with the Michigan Merit Curriculum. So we go by the Oxford Curriculum. We have big ideas in our mathematics program. We have our new science project-based model learning. And we run a full gamut of courses that you would see at any other high school in the state. So a basic 9th grade schedule would look like U.S. history, ELA 9, Algebra 1, let's see what else we got here, health, PE, and what's our science? We run bio as a 9th grade class. And then every kid that walks through our doors, we try to get them, we call it back to their educational path. So we do a complete evaluation on every student that comes through our doors. We test them both socially, emotionally, cognitively, and academically. And then once we're done with the evaluation process, we do a graduation audit on those kids. And then we strategically place them wherever their path may be. We have 3 paths right now. We have a graduation path. Those are for our traditional kids that are working towards a high school diploma. We also have a GED track. So those are for our older kids that come to us severely lacking in credits.
Right.
And that's part of the evaluation process. So for example, if I have a 16-year-old kid coming to me with 1 credit, I'll probably put that person, he or she, on a GED prep track. Which is half seated, half online, and then we'll schedule the GED test about 3 to 4 months after that. We're a private GED testing site, comes free of charge to all of our students that are enrolled with us. We pay for it. And our 3rd track is a certificate of completion. Those are for our students with disabilities, mostly in the cognitively impaired range, that we still give them the full course load of secondary high school classes, but instead of a diploma, they'd be receiving a certificate of completion with transition coordinator tied to that. And we do a lot with Michigan Rehabilitation Services for our transitional purposes for those students.
Okay, and I heard you mention online schools, so Crossroads does offer an online curriculum for students as well?
Yes, right now currently we have a 6-hour lab open. I have a teacher assistant in there all day. I pay for her out of my Title I neglected funds. In the computer lab, we run a grad point credit recovery track. So back to our evaluation, that when we evaluate every kid that comes through our doors, when they come to us lacking in credits, we have the full backing of our virtual academy, so I can offer any class I need to for that particular student to get them back to grade level, we call it. So if they're lacking 2 sophomore credits and they're a junior, I can give those classes online to get them back to junior status. Also, my GED prep is half online, where I run through grad point our GED prep classes, and I usually run ELA, science, and mathematics online.
So most of my electives that I give are gym, personal family finance, consumers math, which takes the place of a fourth-year math credit in a regular school, or I can give a foreign language, ASL, Spanish 1, 2, because part of my graduation requirements, and I do have my own graduation requirements here at the school, but part of those graduation requirements are 2 years of a foreign language back-to-back.
Great. So it's very, I guess, on the pathway to making these kids successful in education and early life.
Absolutely.
Great,
Absolutely.
awesome.
We're a behavior modification program with a second-tier focus on academics and transition. That's the best way to describe my program. Great track.
Now, Crossroads is a nonprofit, so tell us how we can, or I guess how us in the community as well as other people can support
I
Crossroads.
think going on the website of Crossroads to Youth would be a great way to really donate some resources, whatever you want to call them, money, school supplies. Most thing with kids is donating your time. You know what I mean? If I know we do a lot of work with St. Joe in the summer, and a lot of the youth groups come out and spend time with the kids. I think that's more valuable than pencils and pens anyway.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And during the summer, those extracurricular activities or even giving back in the community or doing, I guess, community service projects, how does that go for the students?
No, it's excellent. I mean, anytime we can, life experiences for these kids is priceless.
Right.
I mean, the stuff we do, during the school year, unfortunately, we're a traditional, school
Right.
calendar, so we do have a summer here, in regards to where my staff goes off. I do run a summer school program.
Okay.
For our secondary kids to try to, again, get them back
Catch
to
up.
grade level. It's all about catching up, and, and those kids on the diploma track, that's so important. But, the downtime they have in the summer is a great time for anybody to volunteer time for these kids.
It's really refreshing to see that all Oxford schools still have the same graduation requirements.
That it is.
Yeah.
And next up, Cheryl Verbecki visits the OCTV studio to talk with Alexis about the nonprofit Blessings in a Backpack. Take a look.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Schooling Around. This week we're doing a little bit of a different segment. I am here with Miss Cheryl. She is with Blessings in a Backpack, which is a nonprofit. It's actually a national thing, but we're making it local to just Oxford and the surrounding area. So we're going to do this is statistics a little bit later, but why don't you tell us about just the Oxford portion of it?
Sure. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we run a program where we feed the children through the Oxford community. It's a partnership that we have with the school district. So the school district is, they will take the forms and make sure that everything is submitted to make sure the children are approved for the free and reduced fee lunch. And then they come to us and they fill out a form, and then they get on our program. We send home 6 meals every weekend with the children. And it consists of things like peanut butter, macaroni and cheese, things that the kids all like.
Okay.
Juice and canned fruits and some soups. And during the wintertime, we even give them some hot chocolate.
Okay,
So,
and this is to keep them throughout the weekend, not the entire week, because
Correct.
these are students who receive the reduced and free lunch, right?
Correct. So what we found is that a lot of the students are taken care of during the school year and during the day at
Right.
school because they can get breakfast and lunch, but the weekends is a little bit tougher. So we try to help out by providing a little bit of assistance with these meals.
Okay. And then how do you go, obviously, it's a certain program and you kind of already answered it, but just to say it one more time, I guess, how do you find the students who receive this?
At the beginning of the school year, when the forms are sent out to the families for anybody interested in signing up for the free and reduced fee lunch, along with that is our form where they can sign up for it. It's just a little slip of paper. They send it into the school, and then the assistants, the secretaries at the front desk, are our main go-to person at the schools that we work with, and they give those to us, and then we take it from there.
Okay. And if at any point during the school year a family decides that maybe they didn't want it for the beginning of the school year and now it's a little tougher and they think that they need it, is that something they can?
Absolutely, yep.
Great.
And also we have some schools that have children coming in and out of the school throughout
Right.
the year. So then there's every other week we have a change in numbers.
Okay.
So there's a the numbers are constantly changing.
Okay. And what steps do you go through, or did you have to go through when you first started the program up?
Well, we started by getting together our steering committee and the people in the community that were interested in working with us. And then we went to the school district and asked if we could partner with them. We went to the school board and I had to ask them for permission to work with us. And I explained the program and they were very excited about us bringing it here. So we moved on, and that was about 6 years ago, I think.
Okay,
and,
so it's been a little while.
yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Great. Now, what schools do you go to? Is it, I know it starts at the elementary level, but...
Well, at this time, we are in all of the schools except for the high school.
Okay.
So we originally started at Lakeville Elementary, and then we went from there, we added Leonard, and then we went and added, the following year, we added the rest of the elementaries, OELC, and then...
early learning is also a part of this. That's great.
It is.
Awesome.
It is. And then we added the middle school, I believe, 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then my hope was this year to add the high school.
Okay. Now, just, I guess, as for extra information, who goes and selects the food that, you know, to pass out for the students?
So at the beginning of the school year, the people that we work with, Cheryl Witten, she's an amazing person who has brought this to the state of Michigan, and she's been doing it for many years, many beyond that what we've been doing this. And she is the person that we work with through the Greater Community Foundation of Rochester.
Right.
And Cheryl is the person who puts together the menu and she works with the calendars, and she sets a schedule for us at the beginning of every year.
Okay.
And then she also works with Meyer, who is
Yes.
a great partner, at a corporate level, I believe in Kentucky. And what they do is they determine how much of every product we will need for the upcoming month.
Okay.
They ship it to our local Meyer, and then we have people pick it up. So here in Oxford, we're blessed to have John Piragi at JP's Piano Moving Company. They have the enclosed trucks, and they are wonderful. They go and they pick up the food for us every month, and then they put it on the shelves where they store it for us.
Okay.
And then they also open their building once a week for us to pack at their facility. So they have been a huge partner for us, but they are the ones that that help us to get all the food to the packing location. And then from there, Greg Clay, who from Curtis Insurance, who is also another amazing person who has worked with us over the years since we originally started here back in 2012. And Greg makes sure we have enough people to pack every week. He goes and does inventory, and he gets everybody together and packing every Wednesday at 4 p.m. at JP's Piano Moving Company. And then they just put everything together, and then we distribute it. We take it to the different schools,
Right.
and then we pass it out.
And these are
So-
all volunteers who are
Yes.
just volunteering their time. It's not something that they get paid for or something that you have a set staff to do, right?
That's correct. All good, just
Awesome.
good people in our community coming together to take care of the kids.
And how many kids do you take care of?
It's over 100 every week that we feed. I think
Okay.
right now it's 108.
And that's
I'm pretty
between elementary and middle school.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now there are a number of, I believe, 1,200 students
Mm-hmm.
in the Oxford School District that are eligible for the
Okay.
program. But that's the number that we're working with right now that have signed up for the program.
And hopefully
Yeah,
get more,
yeah,
or all
exactly.
of them even. That would be great. And then on a national level, I did a little bit of research, and I found out that over 87,000 children, across the United States get this assistance, as well as over 1,000 schools and in 45 different states. So obviously it is local to Oxford, what we're talking about here, but this is something that if you have, maybe family or friends who live in a different part of town, you can kind of mention what Blessings in a Backpack
Yes.
is and ask them to look into it, because it is offered in other places.
It's a wonderful
Awesome.
program. The one thing that we've learned is that students who come to school with that are hungry
Mm-hmm.
and don't have food in their belly, those are the students that have a hard time concentrating.
Right.
And so nationally, there have been some studies done to prove that, with statistics to prove that it does work. If the children don't come to school hungry on Monday morning because they've had some food over the weekend, that they do better.
Helps them
So
focus.
that's our goal. It's just to help the children.
Awesome. Now, going back to the weekends a little bit more, so this is obviously all school year long. Is there anything that you do in between that, so in between the summer months to provide for
We do
them?
not.
Okay.
Because it's a school partnership, it's hard. We wouldn't have the
Right.
access to get to the students.
Okay.
But I do know that the Oxford School District, the last few years, has had a program where they feed people at the I think it's Oxford
Fish?
Elementary.
Okay.
Actually, Oxford Elementary. And they
Oh,
have a
awesome.
program with
Okay.
people can come for breakfast and lunch, and it's free. And I believe adults, there's a small charge.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. Now, what can we do to help? Because, like I said, this is a nonprofit, so.
Yeah, well, this week we're having a fundraiser. Stephanie McFadden is a resident of Oxford who has been very kind to do a, it's called Crafting for the Community.
Okay.
And this is her second annual one that she's doing, and it's people coming together, doing scrapbooking, paying a little bit of money, doing some raffles, and raising money for the kids.
You did tell me a little bit about the program, or I guess the event that's happening pretty soon here. So not only that, it's a very minor fee in comparison to, you know, the bigger picture, but also there's things to be won, and there's, you know, food and things like that. So it's a really great time, and then you still get that social interaction, all along, you know, donating some of your time and a little bit of extra things to these students who need a little extra help.
Exactly. And it should be a really fun event.
It should
Everybody
be,
had
yeah.
a great
On
time
the
last
weekend.
year. Yep, it'll be fun.
Awesome. So it's an annual event.
Yes.
Awesome. So look forward to, you know, in the future as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to close out this segment right here and throw it back to Danielle.
That was a wonderful discussion the two of you had.
Yeah, it was really interesting, or not even interesting, but it was just great to see that they try to keep the students' identity and what they're doing there as confidential as possible, especially at that age. Not so much at the elementary level, but when you get into the elementary schools and even the high schools, you see that kids find any little thing to pick at you for, and something like this I can see definitely potentially being something that, you know, students could be made fun of for, and they just take all the precautionary measures to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's great that they're making that a priority.
Yeah.
And I know there was also talk about trying to get this program into the high school as well.
Exactly, and that's why it's even more of a concern that they're already taking the, you know, the precautions to make sure that students aren't in the hallway when they're, you know, distributing the canned foods and things like that for the students, because high school students sometimes can be really cruel. And, you know, especially if you're trying to do good like this nonprofit does, you don't want it to be misconstrued just because, you know, students are a little immature sometimes. So, and now it's time to take a trip to the middle school. Speaking of the high school, we're going to go straight into the middle school for OMS newspaper class. Take a look. Hello everyone, I'm here at OMS with a newspaper teacher. I actually did newspaper back in high school, so it's really cool to be back in this environment. Can you tell us when the newspaper class officially started?
It was before I even came, so I'm not sure the exact date, but I've been doing this for about 5 years, and so I'd want to say probably at least 10.
Great, awesome.
Yeah.
Has it changed any since you first got into the class?
Yeah, a lot of it is all online, electronic. There's so much that they can do and practice with online, and so I've set it up that it's really a self-running class, and I'm really just an advisor, but technically I'm a teacher since I have to give a grade.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was in class, and actually I see that you still have a few hard copies over there. So when you go to the MIPA conference, how is that judged? Is it, do you submit an online copy or like the hard copy?
I submit usually I print out a fresh copy as a PDF, just a regular print source. Sometimes I'll take the newspaper original version. It just depends on the year. I've done both.
Okay.
Whatever prints nicer.
And how does MIPA, because I actually been there once too, well actually a few times, but how do they judge it? Do you know if it's just specifically an online version competition or if it's just specifically the actual hard copy competition?
They have 4 different categories. So there's 3 that are based on, well, it doesn't matter if it was online or in print, but it's like the best feature story, photography, and page layout.
Okay.
And then they also have an online component, a video component. So there's a mixture of options that you could enter for.
And how was that competition for OMS this year?
We did great. We swept all of them.
Awesome. We
Yeah.
have to check out a paper then. And then what are the categories or sections that your newspaper have?
We have different sections. Usually student life and community world news are the largest because, like I said, I'm an advisor, so I let them pitch their own stories. And so sometimes if we don't have something in a section, that's fine, and they usually get like those are the stories they want to do, are student life and community world news related. But there are some stories for staff or organizations in the school as well, in academics and athletics.
And when I was actually in charge of the back page, and that may be very similar to your student life. That's all the colorfulness, and when you go and interview students, and that's the fun page, more or less, right?
Well, we have, we do a fun features page, and actually we have returning students. We have a few 7th graders that come in at semester time, and then they're leaders for the next year, and they get extra jobs, like doing the fun features page of like jokes, crosswords, whatever. It's whatever they want to do. We don't get it in color, but we do get it nicely printed for us for free, very graciously by the Oxford leader. So they have been awesome in doing that for us. And so it is the black and white, but it is on our website, school's website, which shows the color version of it. But yeah, we have the extra features, and that's our returning students that get to do those pages.
Okay. Now, speaking of those leaders, the 8th grade leaders who, were previously in the class, is it a certain class that you have to take before pub? Like maybe you have to do the foundations of journalism to be in the publications class? It's
really just people who are recommended by their 7th grade language arts teacher, as well as their schedules lining up to do so. Because of some of the requirements for 7th grade, they have to have already taken like their health class first semester in order to take this as their elective second. Or make sure they're interested in it because it'll substitute for some of their other electives. So it's a mixture of being recommended by the 7th grade language arts and having that schedule lining up.
Now, say a student isn't necessarily recommended by their ELA teacher, would they still be able to get enrolled in the class if their schedule permits it?
Yeah, because we know at the semester time it's only a handful of spots that I even have available. So it's just a few of the like really top tier and the ones again that the schedule works for, and then there's many others that I recruit. It's pretty nice. I do 7th grade language arts teaching that, and then I have this class, and so I get to kind of recruit some of my 7th graders, and even if they can't come in at the semester time, I get to try and recruit them for the next year. They do have to do an application process now for approval, so they have to create a story similar to what they would do in here, so we can see where their foundational level is, and then and do photography and layout and everything of that. And then it is also by the recommendation of the 7th grade teacher too for the 8th grade.
And how are the jobs here? So I know obviously you have to have some editors to go through the stories and make sure that all the grammar is correct, that everything is spelled correctly. How do you go about picking those jobs if there are any?
So honestly, at the middle school level, I found it just easier to be the editor in general myself, especially with a grade tied to it. I just have the returning students do extra jobs like putting together those fill space pages, I call them, or working on photo caption contests we do every month within the class that's posted in the newspaper, and so they help me put together those pages, that types of thing. So those are more extra leadership positions, but I do the editing. I've realized what works best for me is they submit an initial draft. I give them general feedback on layout, pictures, different skills that they use with the program, and then and grammar, technical stuff, and then they're responsible to make those changes and turn that back in for me to see and confirm that those changes were made.
And I'm seeing the students work in a certain program here. Which one is that?
InDesign. And
the
we
best.
InDesign, and we used to have varying levels, which was very challenging just because of how much we could afford at the time to add on different levels of it. And then thankfully this year they're like all just the same. InDesign 5.5, we don't have all the varying levels that open and things like that. So it's a fun technology issues sometimes too.
Okay. And how often does the school newspaper come out? What does circulation look like?
That's what, depending on the lovely technology issues or lovely times of the holiday season and the breaks that we have, or we'll come into snow days and things like that. We try and get one out a month, and it usually comes out at the end of the month is the ideal that we're getting it out. November, December we combine together, so hopefully we'll have it distributed before we go to break. But yeah, life happens,
Technology.
and so that's always the hope.
Okay. And then how does the class go about distributing the newspapers to the student body?
So I just pick them up from the Oxford leader that prints them for us, and then a group of us go down in my car, load them up, and bring them out. And I have a distribution list to all the different advisory classes, like a homeroom type class that we have. And so the students then take a sheet of a few different teachers for advisory, and they stack them out, usually about 20 per advisory. So not every kid gets one, but at least half the kids, most of them, they can share, and most kids get a copy, and they just go distribute them.
Now, does every student in the class help with the distribution, or is it a specific group?
Yep, nope, it's everybody in the class, because with all the teachers and all the different classrooms they have to go to, it just works best to get all of them out there. They usually go in pairs and take them to 4 or 5 different teachers.
It's the fun part too.
Yeah, that's usually, everybody wants to do it.
All right, well, thank you for talking. All right, so I am here with Ava. Ava, what's your favorite part about being in pub?
I love just like the togetherness. Like we're all kind of like a little club and stuff, and we're all help each other out, and it's really nice.
Is this your first year?
Yes.
Okay. And then what are you working on over here?
I am currently working on the dangers of social media because my aunt recommended it and she wanted me to do it.
Okay, so tell us a little bit, give us a preview on what your story is going to be about.
I mostly give kind of like descriptive things of how to stay safe and some of the dangers. And I did interview one person, and
All right. So now tell us about your MIPA conference. I heard that the entire class went. How was it?
I loved it. It was amazing. All like the sessions were really awesome, and everyone was so cool, and it was really cool.
And this is your first year going to MIPA since it's your first year in pub. So are you looking forward to next year?
I am definitely looking forward to it.
Great, awesome, thank you. All right, so I noticed there was only about a handful of boys in the class, so I had to speak with a few of them. Guys, what's your favorite part about being in the class?
My favorite part is being able to choose what we get to put in the newspaper and getting to express our opinions and ideas.
All right, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely just the writing is my favorite part, yeah.
Okay, so you're really into writing. Is this something that you're looking forward to doing in the future?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yes.
Awesome. And how long have you guys been in the class?
This is my first year in newspaper. I really like the class. It's a lot of fun to go around and interview people and ask for their opinions on the different topics.
Well, and now tell me about your MIPA conference. How was that for you guys?
For the most part, that was really good. It was really fun to go and see what it was like to be in a kind of situation like that. And it was very informative, too. I did learn a lot from that.
Awesome. And I heard that you guys even came back with a few MIPA awards. How does it feel to compete with so many schools and still kind of come up on top?
Feels great. I mean, I didn't win an award, but Ian did. Yeah, our friend Ian did, and it was really cool to see him go up.
Okay. Did any of you guys win or just Ian?
No,
just Ian. Oh, and Ian's right over here. We'll get a pan of him shortly. All right, so I heard, he said no, so we're not going to do that. But I heard the bell ring. I don't want you guys to be late, so we're going to close it out here.
It was so great to be back in the publications class.
It was, and it was really interesting, too, to see the similarities and differences between a middle school newspaper and a college publication that I'm a part of.
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't able to be a part of a publications class at the college level, but coming from middle school where I didn't even think, they had a such thing as a newspaper class or a publications class, and to see how that kind of preps the students for, an even bigger process at the high school level, which I was able to be a part of, where students obviously have editors, it's
Right.
not the teacher editing it anymore, and then you have your writers and a bunch of different things going on, so it's just preparation.
Right, and I love that the middle school, it's very student-led as well. Yes, they still have their advisors, and they do in high school as well, and even in college, it's all student-led, but we still have advisors overseeing the whole process and project, and it really gets these students prepared for the professional world if this is a career that they want to pursue. So kudos to the middle school.
Exactly. And now it's time for our weekly recap. Oxford High School hosted a meeting for parents about their IB program.
And both Lakeville and Leonard Elementary had their Super Singers concert.
And finally, is something going on at your school that you think we should know about?
If so, let us know. Take a photo or quick video from the event and post it to our Facebook page with a brief description for your chance to be featured on our next episode.
And that about does it for this week's episode of Schooling Around. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend with family and friends. Until next time, I'm Alexis Ware.
And I'm Danielle Smith. We'll see you next time.